Hey y'all, and welcome back. Today's tutorial features our Snowflake Winterscape Peekaboo Tumbler, so stay tuned. I'm starting with a 20-ounce straight sublimation tumbler that I ruined probably about a year ago. So instead of throwing it away, we're going to recycle it for this project. First things first, base paint the tumbler. I'm using Colorflex paints in the shade Cool Water. We're going to be sure to put down 2 really good coats. Let the first coat dry completely, then we're going to add the second coat. Before that second coat dries, we're going to add the glitter directly to the tumbler because Colorflex paints have an adhesive in them, kind of like Mod Podge. The glitter color that we're going to be using for this tumbler is PDB Creative Studio Rare Sparkle 4. Make sure to cover the tumbler completely, then use your parchment paper and smooth down the glitter so it's nice and flat, and then epoxy till smooth. The next step is going to be to sand the tumbler down completely. Make sure that you sand everything. Make sure you have no lumps and bumps, no jagged edges. You want everything to be perfectly smooth so that when you add your stencils and your paint, you don't see any of those lumps and bumps underneath the paint. Next, we're going to be adding the stencil vinyl. My favorite stencil vinyl that I like to use is Oramask 813. I am using a different kind for this tumbler because I either couldn't find mine or I was out or something else happened. You're going to take your time and start by adding the Treeline at the bottom of the tumbler. I believe I just Googled winter Treeline and was able to find this image that I could use. Transferred it into Silhouette, cleaned it up a little bit, resized it to what I needed, and then cut it out for this tumbler. Be sure to measure around your tumbler after your glitter and epoxy so you know the size that you need to make your decal. This is probably going to vary a little bit every time based on how many layers of epoxy that you have to put on your tumbler to make sure it's smooth. Next, add your Snowflake stencils. Just play around with your placement, set them however you like. As many as you want or as little as you want, that's entirely up to you. I'm trying to channel a little bit of Vanessa Davis from VMD Designs. She's also a tumbler maker on YouTube, and if you're not subscribed to her channel, be sure to head over and check it out. She has amazing tumblers and tutorials as well. I did forget to record spray painting the tumbler, so I apologize for that. But the colors I used were Rust-Oleum 2X, Ultra Matte, Evening Navy, Satin French Blue, and Ultra Matte White. I just spray painted how I thought I wanted the colors to lay, made sure to try to blend them as good as possible, and then let the tumbler dry overnight before removing all of the stencils. be sure to take your time when you're removing the stencils. When you are doing a snowflake peekaboo, you're going to have lots of little bitty pieces that you need to make sure you get removed before you move on to adding your epoxy in the next couple of steps. Before moving to your next step, make sure you remove any paint that may have gotten underneath your stencil vinyl before you add your epoxy. Next, I'm going to add my white decals. I do use Oracal 651 for all of my permanent vinyl. I just take my snowflakes and I add them on in between our stenciled snowflakes, however I think I like them. Now I'm going to use my painter's tape to mark out at the bottom how I want my snowdrift to look. So I'm going to put down 2 layers of painter's tape. Then I'm going to take a permanent marker and I'm going to just kind of draw out how I want my snowdrift or my snowbank to look. Next, I take my X-Acto knife and I'm very carefully going to cut along the line that I just drew on the painter's tape for my snowbank. Once you get all that cut through very carefully, you can start removing the painter's tape at the bottom of the tumbler. That will leave your stencil for paint. Now I'm going to wrap the tumbler in plastic wrap at the top to make sure we get no overspray on the top of the tumbler. Take it outside. I spray it with Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Matte in white. Bring it back in and you let it dry completely. Then you can remove your tape and your plastic, showing you what your snowbank looks like at the very bottom. Now I'm going to take my Eileen's foiling glue. I would usually use Tack It over and over, but I don't know where mine's at. So we're going to use the foiling glue, and then we're going to take PDB pigment powder in Snow and PDB pigment powder in Pure. We're going to take the foiling glue, we're going to basically paint it along the bottom where we painted our snowbank. And we're going to put on a nice even coat. If you feel like you need 2 coats, do 2 coats. Mine did okay with 1. We're going to paint it on very carefully to try to keep it within the snowbank, and you don't want to get it anywhere else on the tumbler. We're going to let that start to tack up. You can use your heat gun if you want to. I'll have mine linked in the description box down below. But just paint that on really well, let it tack up, and then you can dip your paintbrush into your pigment powder. I started with Snow to give it that pure white look. That way if my spray paint wasn't perfect, I fixed it with the pigment powder. And then I did a second layer where I added PDB pigment powder in Pure, which gave it that little bit of a shimmer. Let that dry completely. Observe, make sure you've got everything where you want it. and then you are ready for your final steps. At this point, you're ready for your final epoxy. I did add angel dust and a little bit of diamond glitter into my final coat of epoxy to give it a little something extra, and just epoxy till smooth. So that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell button to be notified anytime I post a video. Thanks, guys.